All right, guys, tonight we want to put the economy of Kenya on trial. We're not talking about the big numbers and the nice deals that are done in the boardroom. We're talking about the real economy, the one that happens every day on our roads, our transport people, the people that feed us, the people that make our hair, our everyday kind of business. Those are the guys that try to make it. And of course now the techpreneurs, the tech pros and techs of this day, the people who are trying to build an empire with a laptop and a prayer. All of those guys, we're talking about the real economy. That's what we're trying to do. And in the People's Court tonight, we want to ask a very, very fundamental question. Is it too expensive to do business in Kenya? This is something we want to find out. Is it too expensive to do business in this country? And if this is so, why? These are just some of the questions we're going to be handling today. We also want to find out where the pain is and where the promise lies, so you can figure out how to take this conversation to the next level. Now, we have a massive, massive panel tonight. It is quite representative. Allow me, just before I introduce our panelists, allow me to criticize our panel kidogo, tafadhali. We only have we have 4 ladies out of a literal mass of men in this conversation tonight. Now, the information I have is that we've done this for a while, and these late night shows, we're told mzee anakataa kutoa visa for the ladies to come to the show. Okay? So please, for the sake of future conversations, wale wazee wamepeana hizi visa, ama wale ambao wamekuja tunawashukuru. Thank you for coming, ladies. It's a very, very good conversation that we have. And I want to get, before we introduce them, ladies and gentlemen at home, I want to give you an opportunity to take part in this. Let us do a bit of a temperature check, all right? Let us do a bit of a temperature check. I asked the guys earlier, do you believe that doing business in Kenya is more of a pain or a profit? And the people here, we had about 4 people that said more of a pain, right? Pain, and a lot of people on this table said 50-50. We're going to be delving a little bit deeper into that. People at home, let us know. Doing your business, is it more of a pain, or are you actually having a profit from this? Now, to my left on this side, I will introduce them not in the order that they sit, but in the order that they appear in front of me. And the guys on my right, I would like them to really introduce themselves as well. I will only mention your name, but you tell Kenyans what you do for this great country. Starting with Mr. Tinaga Damasen. He comes from the great engine of, the economy of Kenya, Gikomba, where he's the chairman of the Traders Association of that place. Karibu sana.
Asante.
What do you do as chairman?
We do a lot. Tunafanya vitu mingi katika soko la Gikomba, na nafikiri katika hilo soko tunavalisha 75% ya Wakenya.
Wow, interesting. You will also tell us why, as you dress Kenyans, you keep setting fire to the same clothes that you want to sell to Kenyans. You have to tell us why. Next, of course, is Madam Eunice Kimani. Karibu sana. You come from a very strong organization with a strong name, Regenesis. Tell us what you do there and what exactly does Regenesis do?
Thank you so much. So my name is Eunice Kimani. I'm the Director, Entrepreneurship Programs at Digital Regenesis, which is an initiative of Regenesis Business School headquartered in South Africa. So what I do, I build the capacity of entrepreneurs to become sustainable, scalable, and successful, and to run successful businesses. Thank you.
All right, and speaking of entrepreneurs, karibu sana, by the way. Speaking of entrepreneurs, we have none other than my namesake, Victor Agola. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much.
Tell us a little bit about what you do. We understand you're, for lack of a better word, an SME expert. Can you give us a glimpse of that expertise, please?
For the last decade or so, my work has been to work with different MSME associations, different enterprise support organizations, working with county governments, working with national government, to use evidence or to use research to be able to advocate for better policies for Kenyan entrepreneurs.
All right, interesting. Thank you very much. Karibu sana.
Asante.
And last but not least, on this other side is, of course, Madam Shigadi Mwakio. How are you?
I'm fine, thank
Did I say your name properly?
Yes, you did.
Excellent.
Well done.
Here's another thing. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. By the way, guys, thank you very much. Feel free. She has, some initials after her name. You must put some respect on it. HSC, all right? Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Now, you come from an organization that I think a lot of Kenyans don't really know a lot about. In fact, the initials of it, I don't even think, who knows what MPSR is? Exactly, so please, that's your first question. What in the world is MPSR and what do you do there?
Okay. So MPSR is the Movable Property Security Rights Registry. It's under, I don't know, do you know BRS? Business Registration Service?
Thank you very much. God bless you.
Okay. So that's where the MPSR now emanates. Under BRS, we have a number of dockets. We have the company registry. I'm sure a number of you know of it. We have the Office of the Official Receiver in Insolvency. We have the Hire Purchase Registry, and now the Movable Property Security Rights Registry. We credit ourselves...
Sorry to ask you, what is movable property rights in a simple language?
In a simple language, we encourage secured creditor. We give them comfort by them establishing their priority. When I'm trying to use the simplest language like you've requested, when they are...
What are movable property?
Anything that is not fixed.
Like what?
So,
like a vehicle?
The clothes
like
that
stock?
we sell, ISO, as long as a bank is comfortable and assess and honor at the end of the month, you'll get probably, I don't know, 2 million out of this, then they can comfortably issue credit using the stock
all right.
that you have. So that is the move. Anything that moves, hizo zote, yes.
Right.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Now we'll come back to that because that's something I think we need to have a lot more knowledge about. Thank you for coming. Now on this end, let's start with you. You've got a mic. Just because there's a lot of you, we need to start the conversation. Quick introduction. What's your name and what do you do? And by the way, if you've ever started a business, let us know.
I appreciate. My name is Mark Okech. I'm a student of law at Mount Kenya University, Parklands, and it's a pleasure being around.
All right, businessman, side hustle?
Not yet, but I'm thinking
you are confident in this economy. All right, Mark. Thank you, brother.
May I greet you all? Good evening.
We are greeted. Thank you.
My name is Geoffrey Waganda Chore, and I am a sales manager at Blue Collar Technologies.
What do you guys do?
At Blue Collar Technology, this is a company that has ventured into fintech, whereby we have redefined the way the market goes around HR services by digitalizing most of the services to enhance efficiency within the operation.
Excellent.
And we also deal with unwage access or advancing the local language as the people may know it. So if you really need such a service, Blue Collar is the place to be.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Name and what you do?
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Nzau Bill Ilia, president for Mutkot MKU School of Law.
Yes.
It's actually chairman. We just say president for it. So that's basically it. I don't have any business.
Side hustle?
None.
Una survive kwa imani?
Kwa imani ya Bwana.
All right, all right.
My name is James Mulamba. Well, as a person who's closed down so many businesses, I will tell you that doing business in this country is almost impossible. I've closed down a cafeteria. I've closed down a car wash. I've closed down a bakery. And I'm still struggling. Currently, I am in the food industry, still selling food.
Okay.
But it's not that easy as it appears. Probably for the big wigs, it's easier because probably they enjoy economies of scale and they have better access to credit.
You know what? I like that because I hope you'll allow us to tap into your story to just to get to understand what challenges you faced. And maybe you can get some tips from the people. Is food movable assets? Shigadi? Simple.
Yes.
Thank you very much. All right, we'll talk to you in a bit. All right, well, what about you, sir? The gentleman with the checked shirt at the back. Hi. I think your mic is off. Just tap it. All right.
Is it on?
Perfect.
Yes.
You say your name is?
My name is Gashom Jogu. Yes, I'm a young entrepreneur. I'm a content creator and also a student. I have a podcast. I'm one of the voices behind the Real 20-somethings podcast, which is a podcast of young people. And I'm also a co-founder at Housely, which is a young company, a young startup that simply helps students find affordable houses.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Awesome. We'll talk about that in a bit. Yes, brother, next to you. Him. Dark jacket, please. How are you?
Hi, I'm
Who
good.
are you and what do you do, please?
I'm Evans Kioko.
Evans.
Civil engineering student. Personally, I've not started a business of my own, but from my past, my brothers, my family, I know the challenges and I have an insight to help on this.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah. Thank you very much. I'm sorry, Kenyans. I hear civil engineering students are notorious. Kuza simiti kwa site. I hope that's... Yes, brother, what's your story? Quick, please.
How are you?
How are you?
My name is Musyoki Jafet Mwaka, a civil engineer student at Kabete National Polytechnic. And also, I'm the president of Kabete National Polytechnic.
Do you do business?
Yeah.
What do you do?
I do farming.
Farming,
yeah.
Excellent. Over to you.
Hello, Rebecca Tumbo Kwamboka. I am the founder Genius Home and Online Academy. I am an entrepreneur. I sell literally anything. Just tell me there's a profit margin and I'm in. I schooled through selling eggs and smokies, so trolley business is really into
movable
my spirit.
Assets. Movable assets.
Yes.
Congratulations.
So that's me. Thank you.
Excellent. Karibu sana. Thank you. Now, at the back, let's start with you. Good evening. Your mic is off. Just tap the little button over there. Thank you.
Is that okay?
Perfect.
So my name is Celestine Ondeki. I'm a final year student, civil engineer at the Technical University of Kenya.
All right.
Yeah, I'm an upcoming makeup artist, but as of now, I call my parents for a living.
Thank you for your honesty. Last but not least.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
I am a very notorious, ferocious, diligent aeronautical engineering student.
Oh my gosh.
When I'm outside the classroom, of course, there are things I do. Okay. I also have a podcast, and very soon I'm thinking about starting a company that is going to be handling our merchandise from shirts to everything else, a company that can enter into agreements as a sole entity. So I think this discussion here today is going to be very helpful and insightful to me as a person. Okay. But still, I was going through the internet surfing for information, and I realized that in Kenya, between 70% to 90% of all startups are destined to fail within the first few years. So maybe as we continue, I would like to listen to maybe what happens in between and how can we navigate that.
All right, thank you. Thank you for that. Now, I think it's like you read my mind ferociously, because that is indeed the question I want to ask. And I want to start with you, Victor. Why do we have such a high fail rate, high number of startups failing? Can you give us some insight on this?
I think it's a mixed bag. Number one is if you look at Kenya National Bureau of Statistics in terms of where entrepreneurs invest in, we have over 70% of entrepreneurs investing in wholesale retail, meaning that you're in the business of buying either a camera in Kikomba to sell in the estate, or you're buying tomatoes to resell, or you're buying stuff from China to resell. What happens in these types of businesses is the profit margins are very thin because many of us are in that space. That means you'll naturally struggle, or you'll naturally have any type of shock impacting your business. Number two is the challenges that are there in the ecosystem, looking at the tax regime, the business environment that is very difficult, that makes it hard for entrepreneurs to survive. Looking at Nairobi County, for instance, in terms of average cost of setting up or license within Nairobi County, if you have to look just on average for general trade, so these are supermarkets, car wash, butchery, it costs on average over 90,000 shillings. That is Nairobi alone. If you look at counties such as Mombasa, it's 73,000. So you can already see the cost of, the cost of formalization, cost of registering your business. And this is Nairobi alone. We've not even added, other costs that you need to incur. So you can see that the two factors really are making it extremely hard for business to grow. So it's not only government, but it's also the types of businesses that our SMEs invest in. That is also making it very difficult for them to be able to grow.
For a lot of entrepreneurs, when they look at this situation, they have an idea, they have a dream, and there's of course the economic pressure that is pushing you to try and make a coin out of this. But it just feels like the country or the government or the regulations that exist are not supporting these entrepreneurs. There's a strong feeling that we're not being supported. For example, is the government of Kenya in the business of taxing ambition or enabling it?
So I think we all exist in Kenya, and we can see that government is struggling. If you look at the budget estimates. Currently, we see government is trying to raise around 4 trillion in terms of revenue. Out of this, what is allocated, what is available for investment in the economy is less than 6%, because a lot of the expenditure is going towards debt payment, is going towards recurrent expenditure. So the amount of money that government is, even if it wanted to allocate towards supporting businesses, is less than 6%. That means already we're in a catch-22. We've not even scratched the surface in terms of asking, are the strategies or the policies that are being given to entrepreneurs feasible? Taking an example of Hustler Fund, for instance, do you think Hustler Fund is a product that can be able to enable you as a business? Looking at how it's structured, looking at the different strategies that government is putting towards supporting MSMEs, do you think it's feasible? So I think again it's a question of maybe it's out of sheer mismanagement, where we see the allocation towards supporting business is not good enough. But also, if you look at the profile of people who are going into government to support different dockets, we have question marks around the same. So it means that the strategies that they're also putting out in terms of supporting MSMEs as well as startups is suboptimal, just to put it in plain English.
What is suboptimal in street language? Inaweza haiwezi?
Haiwezi. Unaona sasa mtu anakupatia strategy yenye ukiangalia it's not really resonating with young people.
Right.
We've seen, for example, a proposal in the current tax finance bill where Treasury wants to tax entrepreneurship. ESOPs. ESOP is basically, if you come to my business and I can't pay you, I'll give you part of my shares. So that when either I get sold or I exit, then probably you can be able to reap some dividend. So you can see the taxman coming and saying, as soon as I allocate Eunice or any other person within my company and I give them shares as an employee, that is going to be taxed. Already you can see that there is some level of kuchanganikiwa kidogo.
All right. Before we come to you and your reaction to it, actually tell us, why are you laughing?
Thank you. Sometimes I see the policy of this republic as sometimes I use this famous word shakahola. They take us to shakahola and done with us. You cannot. Somebody is undergoing a pressure and releasing his share to somebody so that he can have a relief. You want to kill that person completely by getting a tax. If you come to my field, the government is increasing, even this budget, I know it is going to increase the taxation of second-hand clothes, like it is usually do. You can imagine somebody is thinking in the office, since he can afford corruptly to earn millions within that office, is increasing the taxation of the second-hand clothes that as a common mwananchi is depending on, so that it become are impossible to acquire, how are you going to shelter? While getting back to our farms, we don't have cotton. We only produce, I think, 15% of the total cotton. 15% of what we produce as cotton producer in this republic. We have a deficit of about 85%. What are we going to do?
All right, that's a good question. That's a good question.
So the country, I think, the policy makers are sitting in office. They only believe that as easy as they make or milk the millions, they can buy suits in millions in London or wherever, so everyone can afford. But they forget that there is a common mwananchi who depends on that shoe that you've used. At least he can get it at an affordable price. We are not there because we want. We are there because we want to earn dignity by putting, at least looking semi-equal, not even equal.
I hear you. And I have a question. I think you've raised a point that you did as well. We have two people in our panel today who deal with digitization or digitalization of these services. One of the things you said, and I want you to jump in here, Eunice, one of the things you said is that you're trying to make it simpler. You're trying to create solutions for others. But one would ask, are you digitizing efficiency or bureaucracy? Who's got a mic? Just pass him a mic, please. The lady behind you has got you. Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Thank you so much. That's a good question. Are we digitizing efficiency or bureaucracy? Now, in business, we came to realize that bureaucracy brings a lot of delays due to all those processes that you have to go through. And also, by tackling that particular area or addressing what is it that can we do digitally to enhance efficiency in terms of doing away with some of these steps that might not be necessary, but in the digital way, you can solve it. So by that way, we enhance efficiency. And therefore, when you enhance efficiency, you increase more room for time for productivity. So you will realize the businesses that are on the ground will be able to have good productivity as a result of addressing these particular issues. So that is our main intention in the digital space. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Mulamba, as a serial entrepreneur in the food industry, food and beverage industry, does what he's saying make sense? Are there parts of your business perhaps that could be digitized, then free up some time to focus on productivity, as he's saying? Does it make sense?
Well, it does make sense, but I don't think it will apply in the industry.
Why is that?
Because what is there to digitize about? Probably the marketing. And I can use TikTok for that.
All right. We didn't really hear you properly.
I'm saying there isn't much to digitize about the food industry. You don't need a website to sell what I sell. Perhaps TikTok can help us with their marketing. What else do we need? Probably the registration part. We already passed that. So probably the part that will help us the most is filing returns and so on. That is already digitized as it is on the eCitizen portal.
All right. Eunice, I want you to jump in here. In your work at Digital Regenesis, in fact, that name is quite interesting. Regenesis, rebirth, recreation, I imagine. Talk to us, what are some of the ways that you're using? You said you empower businesses, you help them to go to the next level.
Yeah.
Listening to what Mr. Agola is talking about and what Mr. Tinega is talking about and what our partners here are talking about, what do you think is a missing link here?
I would like to say that even though entrepreneurs are facing a lot of challenges that hinder their business growth, we cannot deny the fact that there are businesses in Kenya that are doing very well, even amidst all the challenges that we have in Kenya. And I don't think entrepreneurs are short of ideas. Kenyans are not short of ideas. No wonder entrepreneurs are the biggest job creators in Kenya. So when we talk about, building capacity, I think the missing link, for me, I would talk about the missing link being capacity. We've seen, and my brother there has talked about that most of the business, like 85% of the businesses do not live to see their third birthday. Why? The missing link is actually lack of capacity. And when I talk about capacity, it's business management capacity, you know, even credit to help that business to grow, mentorship. And a lot of Kenyan entrepreneurs that go into business, including the young people, some of them go into business because of passion, or because that would be the last result. Like they don't have, that's the option, the only option they have. Some of them have already gotten their degrees, their masters, their everything. They don't have a job. So what do they go to do? They do business. But are they doing it the right way? For me, I would say even the banks or even the government, any fund that is given to any entrepreneur should be paired with a mentorship, with a training. Because a lot of businesses that have failed, it's not because they did not even have enough money. It's because they lacked managerial capacity, they did not have the right structures, poor governance, you know, mismanagement of funds, not being able to separate business from personal finances. Some of them are very young, and so they want to get rich faster, and the business crashes. So a lot of capacity is required to help businesses grow.
All right, and I know you want to make a point. I'll come to you in a second. Eunice, still with you. When you listen to our sister here, who's just like many Kenyans, you know, trying as many businesses as possible. You said where there's a profit margin, you'll go. All right, I mean, a lot of Kenyans are thinking this way. What sort of capacity do you think a Kenyan like that would require? And what sort of bandwidth, what sort of space do they have to even internalize all these things when survival is the main aim here?
And that's why we should advocate for government, private sector collaboration. Because some of our young people, they actually cannot afford training.
Can you afford to go for training for what you do? What about you, Mr. Mulamba? Do you have... Yes, are you resonating with what you're saying?
I can afford time. That is what I can afford for now.
Well done. Please
yeah, so they can afford time, but they cannot afford training. And that's why they start business without, you know, even having a mentor. Some of the mentors actually are not charging. We have mentors that are running very successful businesses, and they are ready to handhold the early startups. So the young people have time, but they don't look for mentorship. They don't think they need that business training. They think maybe whatever they learned in the university would work. On the ground, things are different. The best thing would even be to go to Kikomba, get my friend here to handhold them, and they'll be able to start that business.
Mashimo.
Yes.
Chum.
Yes. Waonyeshwe mashimo, washikiliwe, they will be able to grow. You don't have to have really done a degree. You know, you can be taught by a person who is practically doing it. For you to look and see it and do it, and you learn, and you'll be able to run a successful business.
All right, on that point, I know you have a point onto you in a second, but our sister here who focuses on hair and makeup, the beauty industry, does what she's saying, resonate? You know, what was your path to what you're doing? Did you study under somebody? Were you an apprentice? Or is it something you started by yourself?
I think I started the makeup, cosmetic, business industry because of passion.
Because of passion?
Yeah, because of passion.
Right. Do you have a mentor? Is there someone you're looking up to?
Maybe on the online space, maybe through TikTok, Instagram, but not one-on-one. We have never met with any of my mentors, I can say.
And is what she's saying making sense?
I think it's true, yeah. I think it's true because you'd venture into a business and you're just thinking it will work out. You don't know the struggles really well. I think it will be easier if you had someone to walk you through and prepare you for anything that could happen.
And do you have such people in your circle?
I can't really say I do.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. And that might be something we might come back to in a second. Mr. Mulamba, you had a reaction to what she said. I want you to make your point, and then Mr. Tinega will join us. Please.
See, we have a problem in this country in that most of the business trainers are not successful entrepreneurs themselves. And most of the so-called mentors are not entrepreneurs themselves. They make money by training you. They make money by being your mentor. That is what the problem is. You have guys trying to sell to you affiliate marketing.
I see there's a reaction. Feel free to react.
There are guys selling to you.
What did you say?
The ones who start their business with a feather, their chicken business with a feather, motivational speakers in the name of mentorship. Yeah.
See these good ladies and gentlemen have decided to make money out of young startups in that they will sell to you the idea that you can be successful in this business. I will show you how to do it, but they don't do it themselves. So they will make money out of you. They will ensure you pay for the training, they will ensure you pay for the mentorship, and they will ensure they fleece you every last coin from you before they are done with you and go on to the next culprit. Okay. See, we have affiliate marketers in this country who pretend to sell affiliate marketing classes and courses, and they do not do the affiliate marketing themselves. And if they have, they've been scammed, and they want to scam you too, so as to recoup the money they have been scammed.
All right, it's a fair point. Now, Mr. Tinega, you had a point to say.
Yeah. Actually, I was
point ya kushika watu mkono kuonyesha mashimo.
Okay, let me tell you something. The industry is full of brokers, is full of conmen and women in the name of mentorship. My young brother here is very right. Since our young people or anyone who is intending to make a coin for a living is very much vulnerable. So they're using that vulnerability to hit a strong nail and get every coin in that guy's pocket or lady pocket. Things has to change. And this one is being brought up because our government is not putting enough mechanism to handle these issues. Because when I look at the Kibaki regime, I had tried to do some things. We had a lot of trainings in the industry, a lot from the government. You're not paying anything, you are being sponsored by the government. Now, let me come to the reason why the businesses do not see the second or third happy birthday, that is. Number one, if you look at the number of licenses that one required to start up a business, trust me, is like a dream. You need, for example, my brother here needs an hygiene certificate.
Yeah, actually.
He needs a fire license. He needs a pest control license. He needs, at the same time, there is people who are carteling in the industry of garbage collection, are just mugging you like no man's business. All these are waiting. So for this guy to operate, he needs around a small room of 9, they call it 9 by 9, something that with 2 tables and 4 chairs or something, it will need you 30,000 to start up that small business. These young men here are from, call it from a slum. The community tried to make sure that he went to school and have that knowledge. Amerudi nyumbani, unfortunately things are not matching up. Amehav kutafuta job. The industries, as we know currently, are closing down because of the high rate of taxation increase, the high rate of the cost of electricity. Everything is crazy in this republic. So many companies have closed down, so there is a lot of unemployment. Everyone is running to be a small-scale entrepreneur. So that business, you're coming with the pressure, you are paying rent, you have children going to school, the company has closed, you come into business, right. You feel somebody like is calling himself, he will help you how to do it. Mm-hmm. You see? Okay. Now, helping you how to do it is going to get all the savings from you. When you come on the field, you meet Tinega, try to show you, you've remained with only 10,000 or 5,000. What will you do with it?
Very good question. Very good question. Now, I want to bring you in, Shigadi. When you listen to what our members are talking about here, from the point of view of your organization, what solutions exist there? What aids, what support systems exist? Are there things that, say, your organization does that perhaps may be of benefit to young entrepreneurs who are frustrated right now, that could help them do better?
I think I want to resonate with this statement. We've tried to make the process of registration of a business name, a company, very easy and seamless. But then you find that, like I'll give you the numbers. On a daily basis, we receive application for just a business name, over 800 and 500 of companies. So you can see there is that appetite.
Every day?
Every day. There's that appetite for, people venturing into businesses. But then after that, then what? So you'd find that we do have a number of them now are coming back to us. Of course, because of tax implication, they're requesting that we strike them off the register. So you can really feel the frustration out of it,
Yes, actually on that point, you said something quite interesting. So you said how many, 500?
800
companies, and then 800 business names, 500
companies,
yes.
Every day.
Every day.
Hopeful entrepreneurs.
Yes.
On the flip side, how many actually per day or in a season like a month come to you and say, you know what, tumeshindwa, tunarudi ushago, strike us off the register?
A number. There's a process. There's quite a lengthy process to that effect. So I can't.
Do you have any? Can you give us an idea of sort of like a percentage of, let's say, in a year, the ones that apply for businesses and the one to start versus the ones that actually get successfully struck off?
Maybe 10. And the reason it's 10 is because there are certain, and as you go into a business, you are so quick to rush into it, you don't really understand the requirements that are what is required of you when you open, say, a business name, a company. So at the tail end, you find that you've not complied in between. So most of them are stuck. The applications could be many, but they're not able to proceed because they have not complied with the obligations under the law.
That's interesting.
Yes.
What can we learn? What can the entrepreneurs here learn, and the Kenyans out there, what can they learn from the failures or the getting stuck that those businesses have found themselves in? What are the common mistakes that people make in the process that actually create these problems?
Again, I think she rightfully pointed out the health check that a business is supposed to undertake internally. You find that you end up spending what ideally is meant to help the business survive. And one thing that I've talked about, the Office of the Official Receiver in Insolvency that we have under our registry, they really do help try and cushion the MSMEs, if you are able to approach them at an early stage where you feel you're a bit shaken, they will be able to cushion you for a period of 1 year, whereby you reorganize yourself and you're able to pay off your debt as soon as possible. So there's that mechanism that is there. Maybe it's lack of awareness, but yes, if you get it at an early stage, I believe businesses can thrive. And then other than that, we have the use of the movable property. In case you're in distress, banks have really tried to open themselves up. We are no longer using the traditional assets. If you don't have land, if you don't have a motor vehicle, you're not getting credit. They have really opened it up. Maize in a farm, they are doing it. Intellectual property, I've seen it. And
there's a guy here who does podcasts here.
Yeah, intellectual, yes.
That's exactly your field, intellectual property.
So I've seen over 13 banks comfortable using intellectual property to issue credit.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
What would be your reaction to that? I mean, that's pretty ground-shaking, don't you think? Podcaster in chief.
Yes, that's really insightful from Madam Bridget. And I think most of us, especially people who are starting in the online space, just a few of them know about intellectual property. And it's really important. I'm also in the process of enlightening myself more and learning more about intellectual property so that I cannot be exploited. Yeah.
Right, interesting. Our engineer in the back and then our other engineer here. What to your side? Ferocious engineer.
Up to now, I have only 10 shillings left in my account.
How many shillings?
10 shillings left in my account. So I plan on using 5 shillings for fare and the remaining 5 shillings to take my last supper tomorrow. That is how bad the economy is right now. The poorer the economy, the harder it is to start business ventures.
True.
Now, what am I talking about? I'm talking about finance. You see, from where I come from, they say you need big money to go after big money. With my 10 shillings, I'm planning to start a company. And already I'm going to use 5 shillings for my last supper tomorrow. So if you do that math clearly, you realize it's not happening. So my biggest question would be, for people who are starting from scratch, for people who are in campus, like me, who cannot really access large sums of capital, being that I don't come from a privileged background, but I have good ideas, I have brilliant ideas, and I want to access this capital. You see, if you go to a bank to maybe borrow money, for example, the requirements are really damning because you need collateral, for example. That is something that I cannot really show. I cannot really display that this and this and this and this is what I need. But I agree with what the lady was saying about before banks even decide to give entrepreneurs loans, finances, there should be a mentorship program to now hold these people to show them how they can be able to maximize on this kind of loan. Because you need a lot of money really to have a good venture launch from maybe the back of your garden and have it skyrocket. Yeah, so that capital requirement ndio inatupiga chenga sana.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay, that's a powerful question. In fact, that was my next question to you, Victor. Please hold, you'll answer his question. I believe you had something to add. Thank you so much, Engineer.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, please.
I don't really understand how the government expects young entrepreneurs and small businesses to register companies, and immediately before they even begin to make a turnaround, they already tax them. So I'd like to know the policies around that and what the government is doing exactly to cushion us who are starting small businesses from undergoing that stress of taxation when we have not even started making profit. Because most of the time in the first year, we just do the registration of the name and we start marketing just for legalization, not necessarily for making money. Now, if you tax us at the end of 1 year, what happens to the fact that we did not make money the entire year? Yeah.
Interesting question.
Just
I hope you guys are noting down.
To make an addition to whatever she's saying.
Yes, please.
Initially, the Kibaki government or Kibaki regime had a very good idea. They came up with AGPO, so and so. The process was very smooth for the young people. Yes, there was some cartels within the system, but at least we could see nice policy coming out. Now, a group of young people like 5 or 10, if they want to register a group, a self-help group, they must have not less than 3,500 and above. Because the process is online, you need to scan, you need to do what? The government is getting away from these young youths who have no job, who have intention of unite and think to be under the law, not only starting up a business, to think that so that we can have a meeting peacefully. The police cannot harass us. Let's go for our registration certificate. It will cost them 3,500. Where will they get this money in the first place? So the problem in this republic is the policy makers.
Okay, all right.
That's why everything is getting wrong.
All right, all right. Interesting. Now, I hope you guys are writing down the questions because we'll take one more and then, let's actually take some questions. Let's take questions. I hope you're noting them down. I'm keeping track of them. Let's start with you, Bwana President of the Moot Court.
Okay, so mine is just an addition to whatever has been stated here. So in as much as the policies are concerned, I'm from law school and I can assure you that we only have the Companies Act of 2015 as well as the Business Registration Act as well. So here is where the taxes are collected by the government. So we also have on top of that notary fees, where documentation for authentication. So it's becoming a burden. I understand that as government, of course, we need to collect our own revenues, as a state, but then there's a problem that even, as you might claim, that even for one to go to heaven, death is demanded. But then this is not the case in our present case, because as the youth, we are suffering. Turning 18, you're from high school, you don't have anything with you. There are policies that parliamentarians have enacted and legislations that state and give privileges, let's say, for example, to persons with disabilities under Article 54 of the Constitution. But then Article 55 of the Constitution also talks about youth and how the state should protect the youth. But then the youths, we don't have any economic legislations that are protecting our youths.
Okay.
So that is the only point that I'd like to
pass across.
All right. Quick one. Gentleman from the blue collar, then. Oh, wait, we'll start with you. Sorry, sir. Let's start with you because we haven't heard you much. Please.
Thank you so much. First of all, I sympathize with the engineer. Shared with us.
Your mic is off. Please just tap it or just swap. Swap him. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. I was saying, first of all, I sympathize with our engineer, especially after he has shared with us his 2 cents. But speaking of these important things that the government has to implement, it is important. From everyone, I get it that for you to have a good business, you must have experience. But where do you get experience? You get experience from the bad mistakes that we make. However, sometimes life becomes one way, and some bridges we have to cross once, which is why it is important as a government that we borrow a leaf from other countries that are doing quite better in terms of starting a business. A good example is Rwanda. Starting a business in Rwanda has been more efficient that the registration process can happen within less than a day. In Kenya, it takes a longer period. Most of the licenses that we are seeing, on the prima facie, you can look at them as licenses, but when you look at it keenly, these are budgeted corruption. Should we reduce the time of registration? It means this can be minimized. The corruption rate can be minimized. Secondly, look at a country like South Africa. And in this, I'll speak about infrastructure. The infrastructure we have, I commend the government for at least during Kibaki time, better roads have been made, but we still don't have the right infrastructure. You look at the television and you see when she was speaking about movable property, and when you're speaking about smokies on the trolley, I was touched, and I remembered the time when our TVs were showing us that after they're doing this business, the trolleys get to sleep at the toilets that are near country bus, because there is no right infrastructure to put these things. The next day, they will be sent off by not having a health certificate or not complying with the health terms. So it is important that the registration time, let it be minimalized. Let us borrow a leaf from countries that are doing better than us. Thank you.
All right, that's a really good point. A quick one. I hope you guys are noting down. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
You have something to say, sir? You do, after you. And our other engineer. Thank you. Please.
Thank you so much. First of all, if you grant me latitude, let me weigh into the mentor issue.
Okay.
We are in the corporate space, and the corporate space entails character. That's the nature of corporate. Now, it's true that we may need mentors for us to start a business so that we can know where there are hitches and how we can go about them. But also, I do believe that it also dawned on us that partly it is our responsibility also to know which type of a person you are going to pick on as a mentor, not just everybody. Okay. And because even these mentors are in the space to do business, depending on who mentored them to be, bogus mentors, if for lack of a better word. You may pardon me on that, all right? Now, there is a reason as to why I'll come to you or I'll look at you as my mentor. Because of the experience, maybe the steps I've seen you making in the business or corporate space. That one is very important. Now to our sister Bridget, I would like to ask you this question. Most of the young Turks in Kenya, if we might term them Gen Zs, have really, really, really great minds. Brilliant mind, brilliant business ideas. You can imagine if someone can hack a whole government system, then what else can that person do if he is supported, if he's given the necessary support? But my question comes in this way. Most of the startup or the young men that have got the brilliant idea, they lack financial support. That is the bottom line of it. They lack that support to start them moving.
Okay.
But how can it be possible, especially if we look at the domestic, or locally, domestically, government is the key borrower, which gives the bank space now, appetite to borrow more to them. How about, to lend more to them, sorry. How about the startup people with the brilliant idea? What are you doing about that to leverage this situation? Thank you.
All right. Now, we've collected a few. We'll come back for another round. Just to add on that, there's a lady called Anne Wanjiku who says, shout out to Blue Collar. She's listening to the points that you're making. Someone called Tim Chops was listening to you, Eunice, and says, good point. Somebody else by the name of Young Wallace was also talking about what Eunice was talking about. So good job. Now, let us have some of the answers. Let's start with you, Victor, and then Shigadi, you can also jump in. I saw some of the questions were actually targeted to you, as well as you, Eunice, and Mr. Tinega. Victor, please. So starting with the one, I kept track on them. Starting with the one on finance.
Yeah, so again, I think there is a responsibility for the entrepreneur as well as the responsibility of government around the issue of access to finance. Number one, at least from an entrepreneur perspective, we have this trend in Kenya where we see everyone wants to venture into the business alone. Kila mtu anataka kuomoka peke yake. But if you look at best practice from Asia, even the Asian community in Kenya, the Somali community in Kenya, there's a lot of working together so that we are able to pool resources for us to be able to do business. But if you look at the typical average Kenyan, and of course this is supported by data, we have over 90% of businesses being micro. So these are, a small business that is doing turnovers of less than 500,000 annually with less than 10 people within the organization. Probably you'll find that the founder is one. So I think that culture has to change so that from tonight, I think probably my advice would be for you to be able to sit down with your colleagues, mix the 10 shillings. If you're 30 of you, of course, that would mean that you're able to do a business that...
3,000, Bob.
Or 3,000, that is here.
Question. So you're saying a gentleman like this who's in the food and beverage industry can collaborate with a lady such as, the farmer. You do farming.
I'm a founder, Genius Home.
No, but who's doing farming? It was him. You're the one. You're the farmer. Please get together.
What we saw, even what we've seen in Nyamakima as an example, where people were buying electronics from China before the Chinese came here, is all of us would pool resources to go bring a container. Okay, so it's not one person who was bringing a container, but it was a number of us putting 10,000, 20,000, 30,000. We enjoy the economies of scale in terms of being able to purchase. So I think that's a practice that also as entrepreneurs we need to be able to adopt so that we're not just operating as a solo person, but pooling resources. And we've seen that even work successfully in the SACCO movement, whether it's farmers, etc. So there's a lot of pooling of resources, which means that we're able to access or able to do business that we would otherwise have not have done. That's number one. Number two is in business school, they tell you that the cheapest source of finance is profit. The question that probably I would pose to you, entrepreneurs, even myself, is if, as much as we are saying government is bad, government is doing stuff, the question is there are still things that are working in government. If you look at the affirmative action funds, how many of us have visited Keproba or Brand Kenya, where they've been able to map out different markets across the globe? Have you been able to access and have you gone to those offices and they have refused to give you service? So I think there is a responsibility from an entrepreneur perspective that, of course, you have to do that. But also you also have to do research. As Eunice is saying, there has to be a personal initiative for you to be able to do research, to go into businesses that are profitable. There are businesses that are naturally you will fail because they have very little profit margin. So sometimes we need also as entrepreneurs to take a bit of time, get people, not professional mentors who get money for no reason.
What did you call them? Fraudulent mentors? Bogus mentors.
Bogus mentors, but just talk to people who are in business, who can be able to guide you and invest in areas that can quickly give you profits without the need to borrow. That's number one. Number two, at least from a government perspective, of course we say there are initiatives that have worked. The Movable Property Securities Act, Credit Guarantee Scheme, affirmative action to some degree have worked. But also, of course, we see government also playing a big role in terms of borrowing locally. So what basically means, because banks are risk averse, they will always give the financing that they have to government. So as long as government is a major player within the financial space, then it means that
there's no money.
And that's why, as he says, during Kibaki time, because government was not borrowing locally, banks were forced to look for entrepreneurs and ideas for them to give loans. But what we are seeing currently is a lot of government playing a big part in terms of getting debt locally. I think also government has failed in terms of pending bills. So when an entrepreneur is able to give a service to a county or to a national ministry, if they're not paid on time, of course that means that their business is affected. So like I said, I think it's a question of both government as well as entrepreneur in terms of the issue of finance. And it's not a question of government failing alone. It's also, as entrepreneurs, we also have a responsibility to ensure that we are creative as much as possible for us to be able to really push our business.
All right, interesting points.
I believe whatever the discussion we are doing here, we are doing a discussion of a certain level of business elite. That is my feeling. Because I come from Gikomba, somebody is selling, is hawking groundnuts, banana, a bunch of banana. How are we touching on this entrepreneur? He's an entrepreneur. How are we touching on
points, the principles that he's talking about? Do they apply?
They don't apply completely.
Victor, is that true? Do you think?
Like I said, all of us, everyone has an opportunity to do business. You can decide today to do groundnuts. You can decide to do whichever decision you make. That is the decision that you make yourself. But we've seen, for example, the lady who's behind there was saying, probably and others, who have learned to do makeup just by just looking at YouTube. So you don't need to go to get a university degree for you to do research, to do an alternative business that can give you a better income. So if you decide you're going to do groundnuts, that's your personal choice.
All right.
But it does not mean that you don't have resources or tools for you to be able to do an alternative business.
Okay.
That's basically my point.
All right, Eunice, before we bring the others in.
Yeah, and I'll still go back to, we also have a responsibility and we also need to get mentors. But I've worked with entrepreneurs for more than 10 years actually, and they usually say that the biggest nightmare is to get the, positive attitude employees, qualified employees, hardworking employees. They don't get. And I know he can bear me witness that even them, in whatever work they are doing, whether it is formal or informal, they work with people. A lot of our audience today, the physical audience that we have here today, they are actually university students. Some of the times they have, you hear they say they have time. Sometimes they are on holiday. What are they doing during holiday? Why can't they go to these entrepreneurs, work for them? Some of the entrepreneurs will be willing to give them small stipends that can help them to pay school fees. And as they do that, they are gaining experience. Today, if you finish that degree, you go out, you are looking for a job. They are looking for people that have 5 years experience. Where will you get that experience if you are not attaching yourself with where the jobs are coming from? Jobs are created by entrepreneurs. Attach yourself with an entrepreneur, get mentored. After that, you'll get a job somewhere else. You'll already have an experience, or you'll even start a business. So I'm still going back to mentorship, capacity building, because there are businesses that are doing very, very well. Whether they are in Kikomba or wherever, attach yourself somewhere. Don't waste time. You have the privilege of time. Use that time well. Go to the entrepreneurs, get mentorship, get training, and then go and start yours.
All right.
We did a report just quickly. We did a report last week on and we worked with the border sector, and we have very good case examples of someone who finished Form 4, went on Facebook and discovered that there's a company called Watu who are giving small loans for them to do a border business. This someone, just by the virtue of going to Facebook, he was able to just quick research. He was able within a month or two gotten a border, and of course the guy is earning around 1,500 shillings a day. So I say it's still our responsibility as entrepreneurs to be able to do research, look for options, talk to mentors, for you to be able to enter into businesses that make sense. What we see in Kenya is we do a lot of condor or sheep type of investment. I see started a business in Gikosh. I copy even without doing much research. We see how many car washes do we see? How many wines and spirits do we see? Quail business. And phones. We just copy with very little responsibility in terms of just doing basic research to ask yourself if these businesses are profitable.
All right. Shigadi, please. Those a few questions actually were targeted.
I completely agree with the panelist. When it comes to entrepreneurship, you just need to know how best to position yourself. And it begins with even registration. I've had comments that we charge, there are fees that attach to notaries and all that. What the government tried way back then when we were really trying to force this issue of ease of doing business is we eliminated a number of these steps as much as we could. That's why when it comes to registering a company, it's a one-off fee. And one, you don't need a company secretary to register a company. You don't need someone else that you don't know in your business. You can register a one-man company and run it by yourself. You have had, you rent for a self-help group for 300,000. You can register a business name with 950 shillings and still do exactly what you need to do. So if you really know how to position it, there's somewhere you can always start and move forward. The issue of taxation, when you're registering, say a business name or a company, you'd find that you've been given a leeway of indicating when do you want to start reporting. And by you starting reporting doesn't mean that you are already in business, it's how you report your outcome of the business. So I don't think it's, you register, you start being taxed immediately. There are parameters that the government has ensured that at least they consider those that, yes, you had an idea of starting a business, but you're not able to get to where you are. There are banks, like I've said, intellectual property, the ideas, the business ideas that you've talked about. There are banks that are willing to use that to issue you credit. You just need to position yourself, like I've said, position yourself, put yourself out there. There are people who are willing to support you financially.
Right. Shigadi, a quick one. How can people get information about your organization? Because, I mean, we are realizing there's a lot of knowledge that people may not have because people don't really know what, how can people get in touch? How can people get that info?
brs.go.ke.
brs.go.ke.
Yes.
All of us here, all of the guys here, very, very sharp people. We've got quite a few brilliant people here, people at home. brs.go.ke. All right, thank you. Guys, we have about 5 minutes or so before we wrap this up. Clearly, this is a massive conversation and we may not be able to take every single point. But here's what I want to do. We've discussed the problems, we've discussed some of the solutions. I want to give an opportunity to, we've got 5 minutes, I want to give an opportunity to, let's say 30 seconds each to 5 people. No, I'll give 30 seconds at random. Imagine you have the ear of the president, or you are the CS in charge of whatever industry you want to work in. Can you propose one thing that would be able to change things for the better? One thing, right? One thing. And I think I will start with whoever looks like the most the readiest person. Our engineer at the back, let's start with you. And then Mulamba, and then our dear lady here. And then, okay, we'll take 30 seconds, please, as we wrap up. What's the one thing you think will be a game changer? 30 seconds. Your time starts now.
Mr. President, I think it's high time we went back into our institutions of higher learning. That is where the energy and the vigor is. Let us implement policies that target students in campus to support their ventures from that early stage. Because right now the economy is about creating employment for others, not finishing school and going to look for jobs. Thank you.
Interesting. Thank you very much. Let's listen to you, our second engineer. Do you have something to say? Yeah. Yes, your mic is right there, right next to you. There you go, 30 seconds. Okay. Be as economical as a good engineer here.
Okay, what I can say that for today, many people, what I can tell them, it's about planning, only planning. If you plan for your business, I don't think that those years that you are saying will fail. It's about planning.
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 Thank you. The gospel of planning. Madam, please.
Okay, on my part, as a founder, Juniors Home and Online Academy, I deal with children, and I'd like the government to put in more resources in educating people about businesses from a young age, because who amongst us has been taught to be a businessman from a young age? We are taught to be lawyers, taught to be teachers, taught to be accountants, but very few people want to be business people. So we want to become that when we are old, and it's too late to learn about that. So information on that in
All right,
schools.
thank you very much. By the way, it's never too late, but I get your point about the earlier you start, the better. Sir, 30 seconds. I love the economy on this side.
So, Mr. President, I'll ask you to change the education sector, because as a civil engineer, what I do in class is just simple math, but the practicability of the course is lacking. So be more skill-ventured, not planning for us to fail by giving us hard math.
All right, fair enough. Thank you very much. Anyone here? Last point. Yes. 30 seconds, and then we come on this side, please.
So I have 3 things to say, and I'll be as fast as possible. 1, Mr. President, can you consolidate all the licenses and permits into one? Secondly, can you eliminate all the business registration costs for startup businesses?
Thank you.
And lastly, as the president of Vietnam Gas told you, can you turn off the mic and turn on the power? Because we have an unsustainable electricity grid in this country. We have blackouts in the airport. We have blackouts everywhere.
All right, fair enough. Thank you. 30 seconds, please.
To address our president, the CEO of this country, I write this open letter to you. And my plea is, kindly, can you at least enable the environment for corporate operation to be friendly, so as to accommodate as many as possible startup business, so that we can create opportunity for the rest of the Kenyans who are jobless. And this can be possibly by lowering the cost of compliances in terms of all those licenses that are being needed for you to operate a business within the Kenyan space, so that we can have a friendly environment. And if possible, sir, if you find it at your own convenience, if you can at least, with your own power, organize for pro bono services, especially when we are going through the process of registration, then I believe that one will leverage the urge and anxiety of these young Kenyans who have idea. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. 30 seconds, please, Tenaga.
Yes. Mine first will go to, I'll urge the parents. I have 2. One will go to the parents. Parents, acheni kufundisha watoto wenu jinsi ya kutumia fedha, kwa sababu mpaka umemlea umemfikisha chuo, the child mpeleke mahali unafanyia biashara, start nurturing. Be the first mentor before he meets the outside mentor.
All right.
The next one, Mr. President, the CEO of this republic, kindly protect the playing field of your citizens. Don't bite what you can't chew. You have opened our borders too much. Thank you very much.
All right, Eunice, 30 seconds.
To the president, I am suggesting a public-private partnership to avail training and capacity building for all the entrepreneurs. And to the young people that are still in schools, in colleges, in the universities, please attach yourself to successful entrepreneurs through apprenticeships, internships, and learn by doing. Learn what they are doing for you to create yourself an employment and for you to gain experience.
All right, thank you, Eunice. Victor?
I would agree with my colleagues around ease of doing business. So just looking at the business environment to ensure that it is simple, cost-effective, and allows for entrepreneurs to be able to thrive. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Shigadi, last but not least.
I wouldn't speak for the government, but I'll speak for what we do. We've taken note of all the comments, particularly for starting a business. We'll do our best. We've been trying, but we'll keep doing more to ensure that we make the processes seamless and cost-effective. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, please clap for yourselves. You have done well. I honor each and every one of you. Thank you so much. It's been a big conversation, very little time, but thank you for showing up. Thank you for bringing your insight. I truly, truly, truly appreciate you, all right? And to the people at home, thank you for choosing us to inform you tonight. And keep it TV47, the home of untold stories, is a big conversation. I hope you've learned something. It's on YouTube, it's on Facebook, it's online. You can go there and replay all these conversations, all these points, and please get something out of this, and let's take our country to the next level. I also want to thank the people behind the scenes that made this news broadcast and this discussion a reality. Thank you very, very much. From me, Victor Muyakane, and earlier on we had the sign language interpreter, Catherine Simaloy, we want to say a big thank you, and may God bless you.